This is the
let's.
series I feel like we'll spend the most time on.
Do you want to talk Leafs Lightning now?
Let's keep it in order because that's what we've been doing. Because it'll allow us to preview the next series, obviously.
So Leafs Lightning.
Yeah.
Cool.
Or,
God, I feel so bad. I feel fucking awful. Dude, it hurts my soul. As much as I'm smiling,
yeah, let me tell you. Today,
this
for
hurts.
anybody who is a Toronto fan that is watching, I am kindly representing Toronto Blue Jays. Very fun team.
I
Be sure to enjoy them.
I forgot to put on my Mitch jersey before we started recording this. And
Here's the
no,
thing that's
listen, we're not going to talk about what just happened. You know what just happened.
Yeah.
We're not going to talk about it. We're going to talk about the hockey.
Here's the thing that sucks about the Toronto Maple Leafs.
This was their best one.
Yeah.
This was their best chance.
This is what sucks about the Toronto Maple Leafs is context. Because they are one of the most hated franchises in all sports, specifically hockey. And a large part of it's due to the market and the fan base. So when they lose,
have your balance because it's so loud. Because the market is so loud. And the amplifications of the most beloved and the most hated are turned up 20-fold.
In terms of general fan hatred, like you don't have to be a rival of the Maple Leafs to not like the Maple Leafs. The same way that you can be a Seattle Mariners fan and hate the Yankees.
Mm-hmm.
There's no rivalry between Seattle and New York.
No.
But it's the Yankees the same way it's the Maple Leafs. You know what I mean? And a lot of that's because of the fans and the media.
The media specifically. Mm-hmm. I told my mom about this. The Toronto media, the Montreal media, and the Vancouver media, in terms of the Canadian markets, those three are the most brutal in the sport. Mm-hmm. Vancouver media can get vicious, man.
Yeah.
But Toronto media, and then Montreal, obviously, you're getting it in 2 languages.
Yeah. Jake, the Toronto Maple Leafs,
they're the biggest team in the sport.
With the back-to-back defending Stanley Cup champions.
Took them to
7 games and lost the 7th and deciding game by 1 goal.
Both scored by the same guy.
They're getting killed by everyone. And the only reason they're getting killed by everyone is context. It's because, let me tell you, they're getting killed because of the shit they did in previous years. They're getting killed because they're not getting killed because, they lost to Tampa. They're getting killed because they lost to Boston, and they lost to Boston, and they lost to Columbus, and they lost to Montreal. You know what I mean? Those are the losses they're getting killed for. Ain't no reason on the planet that people should be killing them for this damn loss. But they are, because it's, funny for people to laugh at the Leafs. It continues a meme, and it's because of the context. Man, Jake, if Columbus had these players and made the playoffs this damn year, had a guy like Austin Matthews score 60 goals, had a
guy like Mitch Marner pulled 97 points out of the hat,
go against the Tampa Bay Lightning, push them to set, ain't nobody on earth dogging Columbus today. Not a chance.
No. Jay, you know why I started falling in love with this team.
They're a fun team.
They're a fantastic team. They have so much amazing personalities and talent.
Mm-hmm. I get the frustration for fans. But I have a question for you, a genuine question.
Mm-hmm.
What is the difference between losing in the first round and the second round? Everybody in Toronto who is a fan of the team is just like, man, they just can't even win. I just want them to win a series. Okay, then what? Okay, my question is, you beat Tampa, you lose to Florida. What's different? You're not that much closer to winning the Stanley Cup. Oh, let's say the same result this year, but last year they beat Montreal and lose to Winnipeg.
Mm-hmm.
You feeling better today?
Dude, we know
there's no damn difference.
We know there's fucking demons.
There's significant demons.
We fucking know there's demons, Jack.
I stand by what I say, in that if the Maple Leafs can win a playoff series, their chances to win the Stanley Cup increase tenfold. Not just because they've advanced in the playoffs and there's less teams, but because they'll have gotten the monkey off their back.
Yes.
But we need to stop with this notion that everybody is off the hook because they win a damn series.
But we also need to
be the standard.
Let me offer you this. That being the Leafs defender of this series, right?
Mm-hmm. I'm not killing the Leafs for this. And in fact, nobody should.
No, because they showed.
If you be killing them, you kill them for last year. They deserved all the shit that they got last year.
Yes, absolutely. Last year was the only year that you can really say, like last year and in the bubble are probably the only years that you can genuinely say was kind of a choke job.
In 2019, you're up 3-2 in the series, but I hear you're saying that the two biggest ones.
Yes. This year, Matthews, Marner, Tavares, Muzzin, Morgan.
Who had a bad series?
Nobody had a bad series. I think, dude, when you have guys like Colin Blackwell and Mark Giordano, Ilya Labushkin, when you have your depth acquisitions showing up for you, when Jack Campbell is doing his damnedest to dig his skates into that crease.
Jake. Ondrej Vasilevsky.
And his giant fucking pads.
Let me ask you a question. Where do you rank him? Ondrej Vasilevsky. Do you think he's the best goalie in the NHL? Where do you rank him? Is he 1? Is he 2? Is he 3?
I would probably rank him number 1.
He had a sub 900 save percentage.
I know. This was the weirdest thing to watch because they knew how to solve this guy.
They solved him, and it still wasn't enough. At what point? Like, what are you going to do? It's Tampa. This is why they're champions. This is why they've done it 2 fucking years in a row.
And this is why I'm personally, for friends online, for people like Steve, this is why, yes, this is heartbreaking for even someone like me, who, up until the last couple of years didn't really have that much investment in this team. But I still followed them. I still wanted to see them do well. Right?
Mm-hmm.
That's why this year, following this run the way I did, and I hate that the only game that I was actually able to watch was game 5 because I just couldn't make time because of work.
I had the opportunity to watch every second of the series. My eyes were glued to the TV.
I'm just as heartbroken as everybody else, Jay. Dude.
It's incredible to me because, like I said, all this comes down to is context.
There was an article in The Athletic. I can't remember off the top of my head who wrote it. I think it was Sean McAdoo. How much do you run back? How much do you run it back?
Here's the thing.
Soup wants to stay. Soup wants to stay. I don't know what his asking price is going to be. You gotta get him some help if you're going to be able to get him to stay, because Peter Mrazek's not your fucking answer. I don't think Shelgren's your answer yet.
No, he's not the answer.
We know your big five is there. And if you want to make a major change to that, you can try to ask John to move his no trade clause. You can maybe see about moving Willie.
Jake, this upcoming offseason, projected cap space for the Toronto Maple Leafs is about $7.8 million. And with that $7.8 million, Kyle Dubas has a responsibility of Ilya Mikheyev as a UFA.
Right.
Spezza and Blackwell are UFAs. Now, if Spezza comes back, it's going to be for $750. That's not a big deal.
And listen, the whole thing with Spezza, I felt so heartbroken with his locker cleanout interview too, because he was like, I want to be here, but I have a lot of things I need to think about. This is the only place I want to play.
Yeah.
And he was, God, just reading the quote in text, I could feel the tears going in my eyes.
Kase and Engvall are RFAs who are arbitration eligible. Giordano is a UFA.
I wouldn't mind keeping
UFA.
I wouldn't mind keeping Gio if he wants to come back for cheap.
Same, but that's a big if. And here's the thing, Jake. Here's my opinion on Giordano. He's going to sign a 1-year deal this offseason, and it's going to be for relatively cheap.
Yes.
But you have a competitor. What's stopping him from going back to Calgary?
I mean,
that's another tough thing. But also, here's another big thing. You got 2 RFAs in Sandin and Liljegren.
You do have those 2 dudes. You do have
on
those
top
kids.
Of Jack Campbell, who's a UFA.
You have your 2 defensive stalwart kids who you know you want to keep in your system, especially Sandin.
If I had to guess, Kyle Dubas is going to be tasked with finding a way to trade Peter Mrazek this offseason.
That's a big one.
He's going to have to attach an asset with it that will free up some cap space. And I think they feel comfortable enough with rolling with a Shalgren, a Woll, maybe even an Ian Scott as your backup next year. Have one of them win the job. And now your responsibility is bring back Jack Campbell on a reasonable contract, find his replacement.
That's at least
all the other moves you have to make. The best move that I can think that the Maple Leafs can do, because at the end of the day, you're not trading Matthews, you're not trading Marner.
Hell no. No, those 2 are those 2 are your team.
It is virtually impossible to trade Tavares. A, he's got a no move clause. B, he's aging. He's got $11 million cap hit. That's not an option. Your only option is moving a William Nylander and doing so in a way that allows you to just build depth. And rather than having a 4-headed monster, we're going to have a 3-headed monster, and we're just going to try and build up
the rest of you with waves.
Because Tampa, look at their construction.
Yes.
Is it really a 4-headed monster? It's Point, Stamkos, and Kucherov. Cirelli's really good.
Hedman's fucking amazing.
Yeah, but I'm like, as far as forwards are concerned.
Yes, right. Palat's
need to have 4 elite forwards. If you have 2 or 3, that's great, but you have to have the depth.
Mm-hmm.
You have to have. This is the big problem. And I was listening to.
I don't know if you want to knock. Can I knock on wood for Edmonton's sake?
Yes.
In terms of the
his biggest mistake is, I agree with Nick Kyprios on this. Do you know what his biggest mistake is? It's not signing John Tavares. It's replacing Nazem Kadri at $4.5 million with John Tavares at 11. There's no doubt about it. If they didn't sign Tavares and they had just kept Kadri, this team would not be much different, except they would have what, like
about $7 million in
$6.5 million free.
6.5, 7, yeah.
That's an Alex Killorn or a Yanni Gord or a Nick Paul. That's what they're missing. Because of how they're constructed cap space wise, they're missing those X factor players that they can get at the deadline. Don't get me wrong, there's nothing wrong with what they did at the deadline. I like Giordano and I like what he brought. I like those moves, but they were missing that Blake Coleman, that Barclay Goodrow.
Yes.
The Brandon Hagel, the Nick Paul.
David Kampf can only do so much for you there.
They're missing those guys. And now you are in a tough situation where you can try and run it back with this group. I think that this group could win a series. I think that they could make a deep run. I believe in the group.
I think
it becomes harder because now that contracts are starting to come up, you have to either replace these guys or extend them at a higher rate than what they were making before, which means you're not getting better. You're just keeping it together. And the thing that the Maple Leafs need to do is they need to get better.
I think here's what you do. You trade Mrazek. You free up that space. You free up the Mrazek space for Jack. And honestly, as much as I've loved the marketing aspects and the later play of Ilya Mikheyev,
walk.
You don't need him anymore. He's a guy you can let go.
Here's the 3 guys I think need to be traded this offseason, okay? 1 is Mrazek. 2 is Hull.
Yeah, Justin's got to go.
And 3, Kerfoot.
3.5 mil.
Because of the 3.5, I think you can try and find his replacement at a cheaper rate. And that will allow you some more flexibility. If you want to keep the core 4 together, if you want to keep Nylander, that's fine. If you're going to do that,
as a fan, I hate saying this, but as a guy that understands the business side of it, I get that.
Yeah. Kerfoot, Hull, and Mrazek need to go if you want to keep the core 4 together.
And if you want to get Jack back.
And here's the other thing. What helps you with it is it's easier to trade guys like Kerfoot and Hull because they'll only have 1 year left on their contract. So who knows? Maybe you can trade a guy with the guys with expiring contracts like that and get players with some term back.
And at the very least,
if you have to trade a prospect or trade some draft pick capital along with it, that's fine. But get yourself players like that.
At the very least, we know he wants to stay too.
Yeah.
Soup is, very, very willing to stick around.
And I would, if he stays in Toronto, I would expect him to get a contract that is similar to the Ullmark contract with Boston.
That makes sense.
Something like a 5x4. Maybe even a 5x5 if that's going to drive the number down, or 4.5x5, something like that. But you're gonna have to give him some money. You're gonna have to give him some term.
Might have to give him a little bit of an overpay, which is where I think your 5x5 idea comes in.
Mm-hmm. But because here's the thing,
we've only seen one full season as a starter.
This guy was drafted in 2010.
11th overall, but yes.
And it took him forever to develop. He's a late bloomer. So, Jake, this is the only time he is going to truly get to cash in and get the big bucks.
Yes.
If I'm him, like, I know he likes being in Toronto. He loves being a Maple Leaf man, but I'm not leaving a cent on the table for anybody. It's tough for the Maple Leafs.
Dude, it's hard to talk about this team because it's just like we know that this is the same story.
Mm-hmm.
It's just different guys this time.
Yeah.
And it hurts.
Yeah.